OUTLIT, and today I'm gonna teach you how to turn your drums from robotic to absolutely hypnotic. Everyone's gonna ask who your go-to session musician is for real. I've been working with a country music guitar machine by the name of Grieb. Here's one of the beats that we made. Let's break it down. As soon as I heard the sample, I wanted to take a more traditional approach with the drums because you don't hear loops like this really in modern music, even in country. It reminds me of the music that would start playing when your rival pulls up to the ghost town and is trying to... One thing I loved about this sample is that it's not just a 2 or 4 bar loop. Man, this guy Grieb is a genius. Pretty much the whole second 16 bars of this loop, he's going in a different direction with it. So I couldn't just take one bass line, like a 2 bar, 4 bar bass line. I had to go with more variation throughout to actually match the sample. I love using Splice to find those drum one-shots because you can go in any genre you can think of that uses real drums, you know, rock, jazz, country, Americana, anything in those realms, and you got all sorts of fire one-shots to choose from. That's where I got most of the sounds in this beat from. Let's check the drums out. From the outside looking in, it sounds like quite a simple pattern, which it is, but it's all the different layers and syncopations, which is what gives it that natural edge. Jumping over to pattern 3, we got quite a lot going on. With this kind of country drum pattern, it's very fast with an accentuation of the upbeats. You hear this a lot in Johnny Cash's music. Now, it's not this complex, but the pattern is still there. First, we got the kick, pretty straightforward, right? But it wasn't enough for me, so I added a top to that kick. Then we got our standard snare in there. Open hat layer. Some hi-hats. Add that clap layer in there. The crashes. Now, a huge key to making your drums sound more natural and more live is using velocity to your advantage. Never having just a constant velocity and varying it, even just a little bit. This bottom part may not be here for you. What you want to do is go all the way to the bottom and pull it up here. It took me a while when I first started to figure that out. Check the velocity tab out real quick. A lot of these sounds, I'm varying the velocity. Even this clap layer here, you know, even just a little bit. I have 3 notes layered here. It gives it a real sort of splayed sound. Now let's hop back over to the playlist here and check out the other layers which I've included. So I got a few loops from Splice. I got a drum loop, which is basically the same. A brush loop. This is kind of brushes on hi-hats. A percussion shaker loop. And then also another clap loop. But I took each individual clap and I layered it how I'd like. So adding the background layers together, you get something like this. Lastly, I have a tambourine here. Just having that drum loop was not cutting it for me, although it would have sufficed. So to take it a step further, I sidechained the snare from the pattern to that. So you only got the syncopated upbeats. Here's the drum loop without it. And with it. Again, very, very, very subtle. You can see I sidechained the snare to the drum loop. Now, if you follow everything I said here, your drums are probably sounding pretty fire already. But the thing that's going to push it over the finish line to give it that natural sound is the mixing. So you need to pay a lot of attention to gain staging all of your layers, making sure that what you want to come up front in the mix is the main sound, and then all the other layers are sort of wrapping around it very gracefully. You may also need to leave a little bit more headroom than you're used to. Working backwards here, I've got a Waves Renaissance plugin. This is just your typical maximizer sort of plugin. It's sort of a limiter, and then it compensates for the amount that you're limiting to push it back up to 0 decibels. Super handy for getting more of a full sound. Now hopping over to our individual sounds here. On the snare, I just have EQ, clap, EQ. The upbeat claps in the playlist here, I actually used the Smoother by Phil Spicer. It's a plugin where you can attune your frequencies and sort of tame where resonances build up, a lot like Smooth 2. I got it because it was $15, really cool. Go check out the plugin. On the open hat, some saturation with Maximus, some EQ, stereo enhancer to widen it up a little bit. Same with the crash, stereo enhancer, parametric EQ. The kick, some EQ. The kick top, some EQ. Cymbal swell, some EQ and stereo. Imager, EQ on the kick. Nothing on the tambourine. And I got a little bit more granular with the sample because it was recorded in real life and you do get some weird resonances and frequencies. I've got an EQ to start the chain, some compression with a little gain compensation, the Smoother, again, to attune some of those mid frequencies, a de-esser. Let me explain. There was a lot of high-end harshness and weirdness with moving his fingers up and down the strings. Another follow-up EQ to tame the low mids, and then an EQ to pull the mids out entirely in the trap section. Now, it may seem like a lot, but it did make sense to me at the time, and it sounds great. The sample sounds great. So again, use your ears more than anything, more than your eyes. For the brush, just stereo enhancer, EQ, and a little delay. Shaker loop, again, EQ, stereo enhancer, hi-hat, EQ. And for the bass, just some EQ and some limiting to even it out a little bit to get that sound I'm really looking for. I could have easily looped this 16-bar section and called it a day, but I saw a perfect opportunity to infuse trap with this and make it a fusion beat. Hopping over to the trap section. Now, we got a ton of sounds in here. We got a kick, 808, snare, clap, a clap with just reverb, another clap, 2 hi-hats, 2 open hats, 3 open hats, and a rain stick. Now, it's not really necessary, but I found that using a lot of sounds and gain staging them properly, just like the other section, Gives it a really minimal yet full sound. Now I got a couple different hi-hats here, and on one of them, I really experimented with the velocity to give it a lot of movement. If you're gonna have a lot of sounds like this, make sure that you're letting each individual sound have its moment. Nobody likes to be outshined by someone else. That's including your sounds, man, including your sounds. Make sure that you're not doing too much. I'm gonna play this section again, and you can see how I've gain staged each individual sound. There's a lot more headroom than I typically leave in my beats here. Thanks again for tuning into the video. It absolutely means the world to me. Stay tuned because Fix Your FLP's episode 2 is coming very soon. If you want to submit an FLP for that, go to my Discord, Kaizen Capital, and you can submit one in Fix Your FLP channel. If you're one of the 95 members we got in there already, you're officially an OG. If you want to learn more about the server, keep watching.
You trying to collab? I'm dropping a handful of my own solo loops in my Discord community, Kaizen Capital, for free every single month. Not only that, but there's all sorts of channels to connect with like-minded producers, artists, 3D artists, magicians, fashion designers, you name it. Trying to flex your wins, your fit, your abs, your dogs, argue about anything, express gratitude or motivate and get motivated? This is the server for you. We've also got a spot to drop all those loops and beats you've been working so hard on with every subgenre you can possibly imagine. If you want to submit for future episodes of beat reviews or Fix Your FLP, this is the spot to do so as well. Also available in Kaizen Capital is the Scholar subscription. Included is access to a 1-hour live monthly Q&A, a download of all my past and future FLPs from my videos, including this one, and a free download of my Omega sound kit, all for just $29.99. Due to Apple App Store rules, it's 30% more on iPhone, so I highly recommend joining on the Discord desktop app. Thanks again for tuning in. See you next time.